now where we're at today is awesome. I think the playoff system we have this year is great. They're making a tweak to the seeding this coming year. They'll continue to make tweaks as we move forward. But we kind of give credit to this idea that we created a playoff. And that idea evolved 5 years ago. When we played this year, everyone's talking about, well, how is it seeded? Well, we got to remember where the inception was. Now they make an adjustment to the seeding, and there'll be more conversations around it.
Do you favor the 4 AQs, though?
I mean, I'm looking at all the data that comes forward. I think one of the things you have to look at, too, is whether anything you have to look at strength of schedule, who you play, non-conference, conference schedule, all that thing needs to be talked about. So I think more today, this weekend for me, was just gathering all the information and having a better understanding of where everyone's coming from.
Chris, you've done a good job. You've scheduled Ohio State, you scheduled Michigan, but prior to that, Florida, Georgia. Do you feel like you have the incentive to continue to schedule tough out-of-conference teams based off of what you've seen so far?
Oh, without question. I think one of the things you have to look at, we've always talked about the regular season being valuable. I think in a place like Texas, you also have to, what's good for the game? Our fans want to see great games. College football loves to see, and we should provide unbelievable, compelling games during the regular season. I think, Anwar, you and I had a discussion one time about you need to water down your non-conference schedule. Water it down and go play it. I'm a firm believer for us to play Ohio State, Michigan, USC, LSU. You just signed Notre Dame's. Those games are important to college. And we talked previously about us not playing A&M. Nebraska not playing Oklahoma. Those things absolutely. I grew up watching those games. I think about the Pac-10 not being in existence. Those things are just, evolution happens, but if you have a responsibility to try to create compelling matchups during the regular season, you should. At our brand, the University of Texas, we won't change that philosophy.
Based off your discussions, no matter what the model looks like, will A&M and Oklahoma continue to be for sure on the schedule every year?
I mean, those are my intentions.
A.G. Hines Company. They've been around for over 100 years, selling building materials since anyone can remember. Gambusa's Barbershop, Knoxville's award-winning barbershop where traditions and trends blend. You can get classic cuts to razor-head shaves to contemporary styling, all at a great price. You'll leave feeling great and looking even better. Gambusa's Barbershop, where men belong.
When it comes to the discussion about the 8 or 9 conference games, that should be contingent off of what the CFP format looks like in 26 and beyond?
No, I think from my perspective, and this is solely Texas's perspective, we play a neutral site game. We play Oklahoma in the Red River every year. So this year I only get 3 conference games. Last year I had 4. I would like to have a 4-4 balance, right? When you're looking at your home games, but that's why I've always been in favor of 9. When I was in the Big 12, we had 9 games. So this year, if you look at our schedule, we play our three conference games real late. I'm not at home the month of October because OU is our home game in Dallas. So that, I would like a little bit more balance that way. Hey, 40, you know what I mean? I'd like a little bit more balance that way for me, perspective.
Would you like to see your colleagues at least wait to see what happens to the CFP before making this decision on all that and voting?
Again, the problem is what we're just getting the data. Everyone's kind of looking at it. So what you said for the next couple of days was just looking at every iteration of what's under the sun. I've always been a proponent of 9 games solely because my seat at Texas is this is what I like to see happen because we have that neutral site game, which we're not bringing back to campus. The last time the Sooners showed up in Austin was 1922. Think through that. That Red River is an incredible game. We're going to continue to play that there, but it does create an unbalanced schedule at home every other year.
Brian Kelly talked about the subjectiveness of the selection committee and the fact that another SEC loss seems to penalize more than outweigh an SEC win.
And I get that, right? I mean, you have to look at I think one of the metrics, if you look at, we've had 14 teams in men's basketball. We had, 10 or 11 in women's basketball, 13 in there's a metrics that are put in place in those other selections on strength of schedule and who you play. I don't. It's a little bit more subjective in the CFP committee than it is that way. So from a coach's perspective, they're looking at it, wait a minute, we just got 13 teams, 14 teams in the basketball tournament. Heavily weighted was the strength of schedule.
Rick Terry Jewelry Designs voted the best and favored jeweler every year. These folks are real jewelers, master craftsmen, quality jewelry, unique designs, smart designs, very knowledgeable, friendly, and helpful. Serving West Knoxville for 39 years. We want to be your jeweler. Fleet Tire has been serving Knoxville's tire needs for over 40 years with the best quality tires available, including Michelin and Bridgestone. Owned and operated by Tennessee grads, their tires may not be orange, but their blood sure runs orange. For the best tires made with the best prices, see Fleet Tire.
Baseball, we just had 13 teams make it. Heavily weighted was the strength of schedule who you played. So penalties on wins and losses are also predicated on who you play as well. So I think from a coach, they're just looking how that metric is derived. And that's a fair question to ask, right?
How many ADs favor 9 conference games?
It all depends. It was not like that. I mean, there was not this, it was not like you're in charge. It was more like, okay, guys, let's look at all the most important thing is, I mean, you're trying to win a national championship, so everyone's going to come from their chair. Mm-hmm. We all want to compete for a championship. My biggest goal, too, as well, is where I sit. Like I said, I'm personally in favor of 9. Yeah. But ultimately, you're looking at how many teams you get in the playoff. Right, we got 14 teams in men's basketball. We had 3 in the Final Four. 1 won it. Baseball, we have 13. But the metrics they use on that are a little bit different in terms of how those committees work and how they use that data. So
there's no consensus.
We didn't get to it. We didn't derive down that way. We were getting it from Colombo. We didn't go back to say, okay, let's go this, and this. It was more on, okay, let's look at what the outcome moving forward is.
And you don't think that'll be decided this week? The 8 or 9?
Wait for the playoff. I think you're waiting for. You're also right in the middle of the House side.
Sure.
There's a bunch of things that are. If that was the only subject matter that we were discussing, that would have been okay. Let's lock ourselves in the room for 19 hours and figure this out. But there's a lot of things in our ecosystem that take a lot of attention.
Where's the singular transfer portal window on y'all's agenda for football?
I mean, it's important to. I mean, our coach is really important to our coaches, right? And that was really highly discussed. But you also got to remember that's why the House case has to get settled, because it's critical then from that to look at that. So you can sit there. If this happens, here's scenarios you got to address. But there's a lot of what ifs because we're in this limbo land, right?
In terms of the date or the timing of it.
Think about we're a month away from this being implemented almost. When is today? June 1? Close. Excuse me?
May 20th.
Well, they all roll together this time of year. But you think about we're a month away, and we have to have. Now we're seeing how. So if this gets implemented, then what happens? What is fair market value? So a lot of these discussions are played on what ifs because there's still such an unknown right now.
Do you think it needs to be closer to the beginning of the fiscal year?
For me in football, I like football to be in January. Without question. I mean, you want to build your roster and move forward. But that's coming from the practitioners. You've got coaches trying to get a roster in place. I favor a one-time transfer during that time because they do. But remember, we have 21 sports, and when football, this would help some. When I come to men's basketball, they wanted right after the season, but having 2 portals has caused a different issue.
Could you have different portals for different sports?
I think for sure you have to because think about it. Basketball is at the end of the basketball season. The difference with football is because you have it's a it's a one semester sport, so you start in January. So you have to have that. In basketball, you still have to go through graduation. So it's not as critical in basketball in terms of. I think one transfer portal in the spring is the right time too.
Were you anticipating or hoping